Welcome to the Compliance Resource Channel. Compliance Resource is a source for compliance assistance for financial institutions across the country. Each month in our compliance marketplace, we offer discounts on featured products. This month, we're highlighting our parental leave products, which include a policy update, a procedures update, a director senior management update, training manual, a temporary leave income calculation form, and a compliance management system which bundles all of those products into one low price. Typically, you'd receive 10% off for these featured products, but for you, the YouTube viewer, we're giving you an extra 5% off. That's a total of 15%. Now, just stay tuned to the end of the video to get your promo code to enter in at the checkout. Now, please continue viewing as our CEO, Jack Hulsknecht, reviews these products and highlights why they're important to everyone.
Now, the issue, we kind of talked about this earlier, and we started reporting the cases with the first case that happened in June of 2011, and it took a few weeks for that to hit the radar. So we did our first article in August of 2011. The next case came along in November of 2011, and after that second case, in our blog article that we wrote after the second case, we said this action, meaning the second case, coupled with the recent case involving a Houston-based lender, the first case, puts the spotlight on the issue of familial status discrimination. One case, that's an aberration. Two cases, that's the start of a trend. More cases may justify panic. And folks, it's time to panic. We've had over 200 cases in 5 years. It's time to panic. Again, it's preventable violations. We can give you what you need here in the next few minutes to prevent you from having this violation on any application you receive in the future. Over on the next page, we want you to designate somebody who's responsible for this area. We suggest the senior loan officer. They're going to take care of drafting the appropriate policies and procedures. You have to adopt controls, which we have included in your procedures. We want to see you doing auditing or testing on an annual basis. We get feedback from you guys saying, we don't want to do it that often. Folks, if you do it annually, we know your agencies will be fine with that. If you say we don't want to do it that often, we're going to do it every 2 years or 3 years, folks, that may work. If you use annually, I know it'll work. If you use less frequently, it may work. Just how safe do you want to be? All right, you can change this. Say we'll do it every 2 years, every 3 years. If you say annually, we know it'll work. You also need to train all existing employees who are involved in these situations. That needs to be part of their ongoing training. You go back and revisit periodically. Any new employees have to be trained in this area. So part of your training procedures. When we look at the actual procedures we provided you, we start off with an overview of the issues. We refer back to the Fair Housing Act. We point out that this has been illegal under the Fair Housing Amendments Act since 1988, and that agencies have been enforcing it since 2011. We give you a definition of parental leave, and then we start in on the procedures. We have, as we always do, operating procedures. Over on the next page, we have control procedures, and down towards the bottom, we have audit procedures. You have a woman, she's pregnant, she's on paid maternity leave. Her income during paid maternity leave is sufficient to cover the payments on the loan, but the lender, in some cases they deny it, but more often they delay it, saying, well, we're going to have to wait until you're back to work full-time, getting your regular employment paycheck before we can make a decision on this loan. Those are the violations. That's typically what's happening. And when that happens, penalties, usually in the range of about $15,000 to $40,000, have to be paid to the victims here. Also, the agencies consistently require the offending banks to adopt appropriate parental leave policies and procedures and to train all affected employees. So we're giving you all those pieces. All right. The issue, well, Fair Housing Act was amended back in 1988 to add familial status. We never saw any of these cases until 2011. So about 25 years with no problems, but it's been a huge problem since 2011. We include a brief risk assessment down here. Again, the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination on familial status. If you have the problem, as we pointed out above, the damages can be substantial. And we think the likelihood, if you don't have policies, procedures, and training in place, the likelihood of having a problem is quite high. High damages, high likelihood, that results in a high risk rating. We do believe that if your board adopts the policies, procedures, and does the training, you truly implement this in your bank, then you go from a high-risk rating down to a green, low-risk rating on this topic, and that's where we want to do. We want to take this one off the plate so it's not anything you're going to have to worry about on an ongoing basis. Now, one more piece of the puzzle, that's the calculation form that we have for you here. You're going to identify your borrowers. We got the requirements. This is a repeat out of what we had in the manual. As of the first mortgage payment due date, will they be back at work? If they will, just use their regular income. If they will not be back to work by the date the first monthly payment is due, then you are going to use the lesser of their income during temporary leave or their regular employment income, whichever is less. Folks, it's possible that when you calculate their temporary leave income, the supplemental income and their leave income, and add that together, they have more available when they're on leave than they do regular employment. You're going to use the lesser of those two amounts. Now, here's the actual calculation. You have to enter available liquid reserves. We list liquid assets down here at the bottom of the page: checking, savings, stocks, bonds, CDs, etc. So what do they have as far as liquid assets? And then you're going to consider available liquid assets. So you take their total liquid assets, subtract from that what they need to complete the transaction: down payment, closing costs, etc. Enter the net amount of available liquid reserves here. Then you're going to calculate the period of time that they need the supplemental income. An example we looked at earlier, first payments due July 1st. They'll be back at work getting their regular pay November 1st. So that's July, August, September, October, 4 months. So you enter the number 4 here. You're going to take this total available funds, divide it by the 4 months, and then that is the amount of their supplemental income that you have available. In our example earlier, it was $12,000 divided by 4. You got $3,000 available each month. Now, on the next page, enter that figure here, $3,000 in our example. Also enter the amount of their temporary leave income. What would they be getting during their employer? They have assets, and that yields $3,000 a month. They're getting $2,000 from their employer. You add those together, you get $5,000. You plug in their regular employment off the application, they make $6,000. And what we're going to use for underwriting is the lower of the total of supplemental and temporary income compared to their regular income income. And we will take the lower of those two numbers, enter it into your debt-to-income ratio. Now, we want somebody, the originating loan officer, completing this form and signing it and dating it. And then in our control procedure, somebody, the senior lender, comes along and double-checks this calculation and goes, yep, that's the number, and they sign it and date it. Folks, that makes sure it happens. You did it, sign it. I reviewed it, I sign it, and we know it's happened. Now, folks, if you do this, adopt the policy, adopt the procedures, use the form, use the control mechanism, get people to sign off on them, train everybody now, train new employees as they come on board, retrain people periodically. And, folks, it's all work, and you're going, I don't know when I'll ever have time to do it. But if you do those things, you've insulated yourself from liability. You can get in trouble for past apps that you mishandled, but from the date you get this in place going forward, you're underwriting properly, you're going to be fine. Won't have any problems. We never want to see any of you cited in a consent decree, particularly not on this issue. It is totally, completely preventable.
If you're interested in purchasing any or all of our parental leave products in the compliance marketplace, please click on the links below in the description. And don't forget that promo code. It's SAVE15. Once again, enter SAVE15 at checkout to receive your 15% off. Thank you, and come back again soon.